So after this season, the Arizona Cardinals are going to have a very big decision to make about their future. How do they want this organization to look going forward? Do they want to stick with Kyler Murray? Do they want to use, their draft pick, which is currently number 2 overall, to draft a quarterback, maybe a Caleb Williams, maybe a Drake May? Or do they want to use those picks to build around Kyler Murray going into the future? And where it gets pretty complicated is the fact that this is a quarterback who wasn't drafted by, this GM and this head coach. He has a very expensive contract. He's coming off an ACL injury. And because you do have one of those top picks, you have tons of draft capital, 2 first-round picks after acquiring another last draft, 3 third-round picks, and a second-round pick. There's a lot this Arizona Cardinals team can do, and there's no doubt there's so many holes on this team to fill, and I honestly don't know if Kyler coming back is really going to fix a ton here in Arizona. And so I think there's, when we dissect these 2 options, I think the safe move is to stick with Kyler Murray. Why do I say that? Because let's say he comes back, he starts playing well. If he plays how he did before he got injured, he's a pretty solid quarterback. I would say maybe in the 12 to 16 range, 10 to 15 range. He's not a Patrick Mahomes. He's not a Joe Burrow. He's not a Josh Allen in my mind. I think he's a couple tiers below that. But you at least know that he's not going to be a bottom 10 quarterback, most likely, unless he comes back from this ACL injury and doesn't look like he used to look. And maybe there's some rust at first, but maybe he shakes it off. But if he can get back to how he was playing when he received that massive contract, then you at least know you don't have a terrible quarterback. And I do think that Kyler is a guy you could build around and have a successful team in the future. Now, where I think the higher upside move is, it's to trade Kyler Murray after the season. What needs to happen there is a team needs to be confident that Kyler can be their guy going forward. He has a very expensive contract. If you trade for Kyler Murray, you would have a $38.8 million cap hit in 2024. So you have to be very, very confident that Kyler, that you believe Kyler can be the future for the organization, because not only would you take on the cap hit, you probably also have to trade some kind of draft capital. And so with that being the case, the Cardinals could decide, if we trade Kyler, we get some draft capital in return. They would have a very large dead cap hit for Kyler in 2024 at $46.2 million, which is massive per Spotrac. But then in 2025, they would no longer have his contract on the books. And if they were to draft, let's say, Caleb Williams or Drake May, if they did have that, number 1 or number 2 pick, if they continue to lose, which we'll have to wait and see there, then they would have a cheap rookie contract in Caleb Williams and Drake May. Obviously, in 2024, you would not expect that to be the year that you really start to compete. But let's say they take on Kyler's dead cap hit in 2024. They have Caleb Williams or Drake May. And then in 2025, they're still on that cheap rookie deal with Williams or Drake May. And then they have a lot more money to build around those guys and potentially make a push in 2025, 2026 to maybe be a playoff team by that time, with all their draft picks being used to build the team, build the roster, and maybe sign some free agents to solidify around their new quarterback. And the thing I think the Cardinals really have to decide is, do they think Caleb Williams or Drake May is better than Kyler? If the answer is yes, and you're able to find a trade partner in the offseason, I say you make the move. And if you have higher confidence in Kyler Murray than Caleb Williams or Drake May, then I say you stick with Kyler Murray and you try to build around him. And honestly, I don't think either option is a terrible option. I think that if you stick with Kyler, as I said, you have a pretty solid quarterback and you can build around him. I think you could build a good offense around him. And if you trade away Kyler, you'll get some more draft picks. You'll get a chance to have a quarterback on a rookie contract, build around him, and hope that that guy can be even better than Kyler was. And so either way, I think they honestly aren't in a tough situation when it comes to those decisions. 2 pretty good decisions. The area where it would be really bad for the Cardinals, very bad, is let's say Kyler starts to play this season and he's really bad. He doesn't look good whatsoever. No team wants to trade for him because he has such a crazy cap hit, and the Cardinals don't really see him as their future quarterback. They're sort of stuck because you can't cut him. I'm pretty sure he has it was a massive cap hit if you cut him after the season. Maybe like 60, 70, 80 million, somewhere around there, a ton of money. You can't cut him. So if he's bad, would you really be willing to use one of your top picks on a quarterback when you have to still have Kyler on the roster? That's where it gets tricky. And so that's where I think the Cardinals organization right now has to be hoping, please, Kyler, play well. We need you to play well, because either 1, it proves to us you're the guy going forward, or 2, they at least can get something in return, trade him, get the contract off their books after 24, and have a chance to build around a new young quarterback and build a new young roster. And so right now, I do wonder what the Cardinals are thinking. because they have to see all these different options in their mind, and it has to really come down to how he plays throughout the season and where they think they can build best to really build a championship top-tier roster. If I was a GM, I would try to draft Caleb Williams or Drake May, in my opinion. I think there's just a lot of upside there. They could be better than Kyler Murray, and you could build a solid team around them going forward. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens here going forward, but that is all I have for this one. If you want more NFL content like this, feel free to subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys next time.